Welcome to another edition of Channel Chat. It's been over 6 months since I last did one of these videos, and can you believe we're already into March 2023? The year's flying by, so I thought I'd share a few updates about what's been going on my channel recently, and also I've been buying some games recently as well, so I thought I'd share those with you too. So to begin with, let's talk about the two new series that I've launched since the start of the new year. The first of those I launched just over a week ago, which was the history of BBC Micro type-in games, which is a bit of a long title, I'll admit, but it's pretty self-explanatory. In each episode I'm going through various magazines from back in the 80s and looking at the type-in games that are included in them for the BBC Micro, and then also playing the games and reviewing them. Now, I launched that just over a week ago, as I said, and the first episode's already got over 300 views, so I'm pretty impressed with that. I wasn't sure how that one would be received. It might be perceived as being a bit boring, and they are quite long videos, but it seems to have got some good responses, so I'll carry on with that series for sure. And the second series I launched fairly recently was Modern Retro Review, and that's where I'll be reviewing new homebrew games for old systems, and also occasionally old retro games for new systems when they do come out. So I've already reviewed two Commodore 64 homebrew games for that series, and coming up soon I'm going to be reviewing homebrew games from the Mega Drive and Master System. In addition to those two new series, I've got my long-running Witchfinders Gaming Vault series, where I play games from a variety of retro systems. I've also got the Commodore 64 compilation comparison. I'm working on a new video for that right now. And also recently I released a gaming memories video. I don't do those too often, but the last one I released was 10 Mega Drive shoot-em-ups that won't break the bank. So if you're interested in Mega Drive shooters and you don't want to spend too much money on them, then I recommend checking that one out. So that's what's going on with the channel at the moment. If there's anything amongst all those things that you think is particularly interesting, or you like or don't like, then let me know in the comments so I know where to go with the channel in the future. Let's now get on to looking at some pickups. Now, I don't tend to buy a lot of retro games these days, but occasionally I get the urge to buy a few, and I've had a look through a few sites and picked a few up over the last few weeks. So firstly, I should say that most of these games I've never played before. I've bought them based on them being number one, cheap, number two, having an interesting looking front cover, and number three, the screenshots being quite nice. So very much an old school way of buying them, rather than just assuming that they're going to be good games or anything like that, or games that I've played before. I'm just picking stuff sort of randomly for a variety of 8-bit systems for the most part. So let's start with a few games that I picked up from Retro Cavern. That's a website where you can buy lots of 8-bit retro games from. I'll put a link in the video description. And the first thing I got from there is a compilation, because as you know, I'm collecting Commodore 64 compilations and playing them and reviewing them. So this is 4 Great Games Volume 2 from Micro Value, with 4 games on them. Probably not all great, but we'll find out in some point in the future. So that was the first one. The second one from Retro Cavern, these were just nice cheap budget games, basically Cobra Force from Players, and also Destructo from Bulldog. Now, you may recall that I reviewed a lot of Mastertronic games back in the day, but I didn't review anything from the Bulldog range because I thought most of them looked a bit naff, so I decided not to collect them. But this one seemed to get pretty good reviews and looks quite a decent shooter, so I'll take a look at that at some point in the future. So moving on, next I got a few games from retrogames.co.uk. Sorry for disappearing off the screen there, I was just picking them all up. So there's one Commodore 64 game, which is Flip and Flop. Again, never played it before, but it looks interesting. And then I've bought a bunch of BBC Micro games, which is a bit of a strange thing because I don't have a cassette player that I would load them on. But I thought at some point I'd like to have a look at some BBC Micro games that I've never played before. So I've bought the games, or have a look at the packaging in the usual Witchfinders Gaming Vault way, and then obviously play them, but load them off the SD card rather than load them off the tape. So this is what I picked up. I've got Astro Plumber. These are all in great condition, by the way. They seem like almost like they're brand new. I've got Wild West Buffalo Bills Rodeo Games. Got the name completely wrong there, but there it is. I've got Frankenstein 2000. Got the Peter Scott trilogy. I know Peter Scott did some good games for the BBC, but I don't think I've ever played any of those. And that should be an interesting one to look at with 3 games on 1 tape. And finally, I've got Triple Decker 10, which has got 3 games on it: Rockfall, Money Maze, and Bunny Blitz. And there's a particular reason why I picked that one up, which I'll reveal further down the line. So those are the BBC Micro ones, and finally I picked up a couple of MSX games as well. These were both from the same seller on eBay, pretty cheap games, both under £2 each, and the games are Vacuumania, which I think is an MSX exclusive, and also Turmoil, which was also released on the Spectrum, I think. So those, along with the BBC Micro and Commodore 64 games, will go into the pot for Witchfinders Gaming Vault in the future, and I'll play those eventually. And there's one last game that I bought, or a collection of games I should say, which is the Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection. Now, I ordered this months and months ago from Strictly Limited Games, and it finally arrived a couple of weeks ago, sorry. And this is a collection of all 6 Wonder Boy / Monster World games. You can see them all listed on the back there. It's a limited edition of 2000 on the PS4. In this particular version there's various packaging variations for it. So yeah, eventually I'll be playing through that. This will form a video on the Modern Retro review. This is a old game on new system type thing, so that will go onto the Modern Retro review series at some point in the future. Looking forward to playing that. Big fan of the original Wonder Boy. Never really played the RPG style ones before, so I'll take a look at those as well. And that's it for this particular section of pickups and the video in general. So let me know any thoughts you've got about the pickups I've made, the stuff I'm doing on the channel at the moment. Thanks very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in another retro gaming video really soon. Bye for now.